What would you do if your family accused you of stealing $300,000 and you knew exactly who really took it? I stayed silent for 3 years. Then they crossed the line I couldn't uncross. 3 years ago, on a Tuesday that tasted like copper, my phone rang at 6:47 a.m. "Tracy, we need to talk." Dad's voice carried that specific gravity that turns your stomach to lead. I was buttering toast for my son, Daniel, who sat at our tiny kitchen table swinging his legs and humming something off-key. He was 5 then. Still believed the world was kind. "What's wrong?" I asked, forcing my voice steady. $300,000 is missing from the business account. The butter knife clattered against the plate. Daniel looked up, syrup on his chin, eyes wide with that animal instinct children have for sensing when their world is tilting. "Missing?" I whispered. "You had access during my recovery. The transactions trace back to your login." His voice cracked. Not with anger, with something worse. Disappointment. "Please tell me there's an explanation." There was. But it wasn't mine to give. Marcus showed up at my apartment that night at 2 a.m., looking like death had rehearsed with him. My golden child brother, the one who drove a Tesla and summered in the Hamptons, stood in my doorway with tears streaking his face and terror in his eyes. "I fucked up," he said. "I fucked up so bad, Trace." He gambled it away. Not in some dramatic casino heist. Just stupidly, desperately, trying to cover a failed investment that would have exposed him as less perfect than everyone believed. He'd used my credentials because Dad had given me temporary access during his triple bypass recovery. Because Dad trusted me with the paperwork, the boring administrative shit that Marcus was too busy for. "I'll pay it back," Marcus swore, gripping my hands like a drowning man. 3 months max. Please. If Dad finds out, it'll kill him. He just had heart surgery, Trace. Please. I looked at my brother, the one who'd carried me on his shoulders when I was 6, who'd punched Tommy Hernandez for calling me ugly in 7th grade, who'd co-signed my first apartment lease when I was pregnant and alone, and I made the worst decision of my life. I said yes. 3 months became 6. 6 became a year. The money never reappeared. But the accusations did. Family dinners grew cold. Dad stopped meeting my eyes. My sister Jennifer started making comments. "Must be nice having access to that kind of cash." Marcus said nothing. He'd perfected silence into an art form. Let it weaponize itself against me while he rebuilt his credit, his reputation, his life. I became the ghost they tolerated. The cautionary tale. The one whispered about in corners. Can you believe Tracy? After everything Dad did for her, Daniel started noticing around age 7. "Why doesn't Grandpa hug you anymore, Mommy?" "He's just tired, baby." But children know. They always know. I told myself I was protecting the family, keeping the peace, being the bigger person. I told myself these lies for 3 years, until the day Jennifer handed my son a piece of bread while her children ate like royalty, and something inside me that had been dying finally stopped breathing altogether. That's when I stopped protecting them. That's when I started planning. The invitation came on cream-colored cardstock with Jennifer's perfect calligraphy. Family gathering. Celebrate Dad's 70th, adults and children welcome. I almost didn't go. Daniel begged me to. He missed his cousins, missed feeling like he belonged to something larger than our small apartment and our smaller life. "Please, Mommy. Please." So I went. Jennifer's house looked like it had been styled for a magazine shoot. Everything gleamed. The chandelier cost more than my car. Her twin daughters, Sophia and Charlotte, wore matching designer dresses that probably cost what I spent on groceries in a month. Daniel wore his best shirt, the one with the small stain near the collar that I'd scrubbed for 20 minutes and still couldn't completely remove. The caterer had set up in the dining room. I watched the children gather around the table as servers brought out the food. Wagyu beef sliders with truffle aioli, lobster mac and cheese in individual ramekins, truffle fries dusted with Parmesan, chocolate lava cakes that oozed when pierced. $200 per child easily. Daniel sat at the table between his cousins, looking small and uncertain. He smiled anyway, that heartbreaking smile that still believed the world might be fair. Jennifer emerged from the kitchen holding a paper napkin. On it sat a single slice of white bread. Wonder bread, the kind that compresses into nothing when you squeeze it. She walked directly to Daniel. Time moved strangely then. I saw it happen but couldn't move fast enough to stop it. Like those dreams where you're running through water. We didn't order for your son, Jennifer said. Her voice carrying that particular pitch of performative sweetness that barely concealed the blade beneath. She placed the napkin in front of Daniel. But he can have this. Sophia giggled. Charlotte stared. Marcus's teenage son, Tyler, looked uncomfortable but said nothing. Daniel's small hand reached for the bread. He looked at me across the room, confusion flooding his 8-year-old eyes. Why, Mommy? Why am I different? Jennifer smiled. My sister, who'd been my maid of honor, who'd held my hand when Daniel was born, who'd promised to always protect him, smiled. The other adults in the room suddenly found their phones fascinating. I watched my son bite into dry bread while his cousins carved into butter-soft beef. I watched him chew slowly, mechanically, his jaw working around humiliation he was too young to name but old enough to feel in his bones. Something crystallized in my chest. Not hot rage, that would have been cleaner, easier. This was cold. Surgical. The kind of fury that doesn't explode but calculates. I'd let them call me a thief. I'd absorb their contempt, their whispers, their exile. I'd sacrifice my dignity on the altar of family peace. But my son's dignity? That was sacred ground. I walked over and took Daniel's hand. We're leaving. But Mom. Now. As we reached the door, Jennifer called out, Tracy, don't be so sensitive. It was just. I turned. Looked her dead in the eye. It was just what, Jen? She faltered. Looked away. I didn't wait for an answer. In the car, Daniel was quiet. Then, why don't they like us, Mommy? I gripped the steering wheel until my knuckles went white. Because I let them forget who we are, I said. But not anymore. That night I opened my laptop. I stopped protecting Marcus. I started protecting my son. I didn't sleep that night. Daniel curled against me in my bed, his breathing soft and even, his small hand clutching my shirt like he was afraid I'd disappear. I stared at the ceiling and replayed the bread scene on an endless loop until it carved itself into my brain like a scar. We didn't order for your son. At 3 a.m., I slipped out of bed and went to the closet. Behind the winter coats I never wore, beneath the shoebox of Daniel's baby clothes I couldn't bring myself to donate, sat a manila folder I'd kept for 3 years. Evidence. Bank statements showing the wire transfers from Dad's account. Timestamps matching exactly when Marcus had my login credentials. Email exchanges where Marcus begged me to just give him time. Text messages at 2 a.m. I'm drowning, Trace. Please don't tell him. I'll fix this. I swear. I'd kept it all. Not because I planned to use it. I told myself it was insurance protection in case Marcus ever tried to throw me under the bus completely. But really? I'd kept it because some part of me knew this day would come. The day I'd stop being the family martyr and become something else entirely. I spread the documents across my kitchen table. 3 years of proof. 3 years of Marcus's guilt, preserved in digital receipts and desperate pleas. My hands didn't shake. They should have. This was my brother. The man who'd taught me to ride a bike, who'd scared away my first terrible boyfriend, who'd cried when Daniel was born. But he'd also let me burn for 3 years while he rebuilt his perfect life. He'd watched Jennifer humiliate my son with bread and said nothing. I opened my laptop and composed an email to Detective Sarah Chan, an old friend from my brief stint in corporate accounting before Daniel was born. We'd stayed in loose touch, occasional coffee, LinkedIn messages, the kind of friendship that exists in potential rather than practice. Sarah, I need a favor. I'm going to send you evidence of embezzlement. $300,000 from a family business. The person who did it let someone else take the blame for 3 years. If I text you a specific address and time, can you show up exactly 30 minutes later with a uniformed officer? I need the timing to be precise. I'll explain everything when this is over. I know this is strange. I know I'm asking a lot. But I've been silent for 3 years, and my silence has been destroying my son. Please. Tracy. I hit send before I could second-guess myself. Then I did something I hadn't done in 3 years. I made a reservation at Castellano's, Dad's favorite restaurant. His 70th birthday dinner was in 5 days. The whole family would be there, Marcus, Jennifer, their perfect spouses, their perfect children. And me. And the truth. I checked my phone. Sarah had responded. I trust you. Send me the details. I'll be there. I looked at Daniel's bedroom door. Thought about his confusion in Jennifer's dining room. Thought about all the times I told him to be kind, be patient, be understanding, while letting his family treat him like he was less than. No more. I wasn't doing this for revenge. Not really. I was doing this so my son would know his mother had a spine. So he'd learn that silence in the face of cruelty isn't peace. It's complicity. I forwarded Sarah all the documents. Then I opened my calendar and marked the dinner date with 3 words. Truth. Justice. Freedom. 5 days. Marcus had 5 days left of his perfect lie. I arrived at Castellanos 15 minutes early wearing the navy dress I'd bought for job interviews but never had occasion to wear. Daniel wore his Sunday best. The outfit I'd saved for, the one without stains. I'd brushed his hair until it shined. "Why are we so dressed up, Mommy?" he asked in the car. "Because tonight we remember who we are." The restaurant was old money elegant. White tablecloths, crystal stemware, waiters who moved like ghosts. Dad had reserved the private dining room in the back. Through the frosted glass doors I could see them already gathered. Marcus in his tailored suit, Jennifer in something silk and expensive, their spouses laughing at some joke I wasn't part of. I texted Sarah, "Castellanos. Private dining room. 7:30 p.m. 30 minutes after I give the signal." Her response was immediate. "Ready when you are." I pocketed my phone and took Daniel's hand. "Remember, baby, you belong here just as much as anyone." We pushed through the doors. The conversation died like someone had cut the power. Marcus saw me first. His smile flickered just for a second, but I caught it. Nervousness. Maybe even fear. "Good. Tracy." Dad stood, arms open. He hugged me, and for a moment I let myself sink into it, remembering when his embrace meant safety instead of complicated grief. "And my grandson. Come here, Danny boy." Daniel ran to his grandfather, and I watched Dad scoop him up like the past 3 years hadn't happened. Like he hadn't stopped hugging me. Like the missing $300,000 wasn't a ghost that haunted every family gathering. Jennifer air-kissed near my cheek. "Tracy, you look nice." "Thank you." I smiled. Calm. Measured. "That's a beautiful dress, Jen." "New." "Oh, this old thing?" She laughed, but her eyes were calculating, trying to figure out why I wasn't performing my usual role. Quiet, apologetic, grateful to be included. I took my seat directly across from Marcus. He shifted uncomfortably. "Hey, Trace. Good to see you." "Is it?" I kept my voice light, conversational. His wife, Amanda, glanced between us. The first course arrived. Burrata with heirloom tomatoes, prosciutto, aged balsamic. Daniel stared at his plate like it was a work of art. No one handed him bread. Not tonight. Conversation flowed around me. Jennifer bragged about Sophia's acceptance to a prestigious summer camp. Marcus discussed his latest business acquisition. I nodded, smiled, sipped my water, and waited. Halfway through the main course, braised short ribs that fell apart at the touch of a fork, I set down my utensils and looked directly at Dad. "Dad, can I ask you something?" He looked up surprised. "Of course, sweetheart. That $300,000 that went missing 3 years ago." I kept my voice steady, almost curious. "Did you ever figure out what happened to it?" The table went silent. Marcus's fork clattered against his plate. Jennifer's eyes went wide. Dad's face darkened. "Tracy, this isn't the time." "I think it is." I reached into my purse and pulled out a folded envelope. "Because I found something you should see." Marcus stood abruptly. "Tracy, don't." "Don't what, Marcus?" I looked at him fully now. Let him see that I wasn't the same woman who'd stayed silent. "Don't tell the truth?" His face had gone pale. Amanda grabbed his arm. "Marcus, what's going on?" I slid the envelope across the table to Dad. "Open it," I said quietly. "And then we can all finally stop pretending." I checked my watch, 7 p.m. Sarah would arrive at 7:30. 30 minutes for the truth to breathe before justice walked through the door. Dad's hands trembled as he opened the envelope. I watched his eyes move across the first page. Then the second. Bank statements. Transaction histories. Dates and times stamped in black and white. Undeniable as gravity. Marcus was standing now, his chair pushed back. Dad, whatever she's showing you, it's... Sit down. Dad's voice cut through the room like a blade. Marcus sat. Dad continued reading. The silence stretched until it became unbearable. Jennifer kept glancing at me, then at Marcus, her expression shifting from confusion to something that looked like understanding, then fear. Finally, Dad looked up. His face had aged 10 years in 5 minutes. These are wire transfers, he said slowly. From the business account. Using Tracy's login credentials. He looked at me. You're showing me proof you stole the money? Keep reading, I said softly. He turned to the next page. Email printouts. Marcus's words preserved forever in 12-point font. Trace, I'm begging you. I fucked up. I used your login. Dad will never know if you just stay quiet. 3 months, I swear. I'll have it back in 3 months. Dad's jaw clenched. He read the next one. I know it's been 6 months. I know I promised. The investment fell through. I need more time. Please, Trace. You're my sister. Family protects family. Then the text messages, screenshots with timestamps. 2:47 a.m. I can't sleep. The guilt is killing me. 2:51 a.m. Then tell Dad the truth. 2:53 a.m. I can't. It would destroy him. Destroy us. You're stronger than me. You always have been. Dad set the papers down with a care that suggested violence was the alternative. Marcus. His voice was barely above a whisper. Is this true? Marcus's mouth opened. Closed. His face had gone from pale to gray. Dad, I can explain. Is this true? The room flinched. I was going to pay it back, Marcus stammered. I had a plan, but the market crashed and then COVID hit and... 3 years. Dad's voice broke. 3 years I believed your sister stole from me. 3 years I couldn't look her in the eye. 3 years I let her take the blame while you... He couldn't finish. Jennifer found her voice. Tracy, why didn't you say something? Why did you let us think? I turned to her slowly. Because Marcus begged me to protect the family. Because I thought love meant sacrifice. Because I was stupid enough to believe you'd all eventually see the truth. I paused. And then you gave my son bread while yours ate lobster. And I realized you never would. That was, Jennifer's voice faltered. That wasn't about the money. It was about everything. I looked around the table. It was about how you decided I was worthless enough to rob and blame. How my son was worthless enough to humiliate. You didn't just let Marcus steal money. You let him steal my dignity. My reputation. 3 years of my life. Amanda pushed away from Marcus like he was radioactive. You let your sister take the fall? For 3 years. I was going to fix it. Marcus shouted. I just needed time. Dad stood. Walked to where I sat. Placed both hands on my shoulders. I'm sorry. Tears streamed down his weathered face. God, Tracy, I'm so sorry. It wasn't enough. It would never be enough. But it was something. I checked my watch. 7:18 p.m. 12 minutes. Dad pulled out the chair next to me and sat down heavily. Like his legs could no longer support the weight of what he'd just learned. 3 years, he repeated, staring at Marcus. You watched me blame her. You watched me pull away from my own daughter. You sat at Thanksgiving dinners and Christmas mornings and said nothing. Marcus's face crumpled. I was ashamed. I was scared. I didn't know how to. You didn't know how to be a man, Dad said quietly. The words landed harder than shouting ever could. Jennifer tried to salvage something. Okay, Marcus made a mistake. A huge mistake. But airing this all out here in public on Dad's birthday, Tracy, this is vindictive. I met her eyes. Is it vindictive? To wait 3 years and then drop it like a bomb. I waited 3 years because Marcus asked me to, I said, my voice rising for the first time. I protected him. I protected all of you. I let myself become the family scapegoat because I thought that's what love required. I looked at my son, who sat wide-eyed and silent in his chair. And then you taught my child that he's worth less than bread. The table went quiet. Dad reached across and took my hand. His palm was rough, warm, familiar. How do I fix this? You can't, I said simply. You can't give me back 3 years. You can't undo Daniel being handed scraps while his cousins feasted. You can't erase what this family became. Then what do you want? His voice cracked. I looked at Marcus, then at Jennifer, then back at my father. I want the truth on record. I want my name cleared. Not just at this table, everywhere. Your business partners. The family friends. Everyone who whispered about me for 3 years needs to know I didn't steal a goddamn thing. Dad nodded. Done. First thing Monday morning. I want the $300,000 back. Not as a gift. As restitution for what was taken from me. Financially and otherwise. You'll have it by end of week. Marcus finally found his voice, desperate now. Dad, I can pay you back. Give me time, I can. You had 3 years, Dad said coldly. You spent it building your life while destroying your sister's. Amanda stood abruptly, grabbing her purse. I can't listen to this. Marcus, we're leaving. Sit down, Dad commanded. No one's leaving until we're finished. Amanda froze, then slowly sat back down, her face pale. Dad squeezed my hand tighter. What else? I want Marcus to admit what he did. Out loud. To everyone here. All eyes turned to Marcus. He looked like he might vomit. I stole $300,000 from Dad's business account, using Tracy's credentials. I begged her to stay quiet. I promised to pay it back. His voice dropped to a whisper. I never intended to. I let her take the blame because it was easier than facing the consequences. The words hung in the air like smoke. Dad released my hand and stood. Walked to the head of the table. Tracy, I failed you as a father. I should have investigated. I should have trusted you. I should have protected you. He looked at Marcus with something between disgust and heartbreak. Instead, I protected the wrong child. I checked my watch. 7:26 p.m. For minutes. There's one more thing, I said quietly. Everyone looked at me. The police are coming. What? Marcus's chair screeched backward. Tracy, what did you do? I reported a crime, I said calmly. Embezzlement. Fraud. Wire fraud across state lines, actually. Since Dad's business operates in multiple states. Marcus's face went from gray to white. You're bluffing. You wouldn't. I already did. They'll be here in. I checked my watch again. 3 minutes. Amanda grabbed Marcus's arm. We need to leave. Now. If you run, it looks worse, I said. Not cruelly. Just factually. Jennifer's voice rose to a shriek. Tracy, this is insane. He's your brother. You're going to have him arrested? At Dad's birthday dinner. He committed a felony, I said. What should I have done? Let him get away with it for another 3 years? Another 10. You should have handled it privately. Jennifer slammed her palm on the table. This is family. That word. Family. I stood slowly, placing both hands flat on the tablecloth. Family, I repeated. You want to talk about family? I looked at Jennifer, really looked at her. Do you remember what you said when I came to you 2 years ago? When I was behind on rent and terrified of losing our apartment. Jennifer's face flickered. Tracy, that's not. You said I should have been more responsible with Dad's money. My voice didn't shake. You knowing Marcus stole it. You knowing I was innocent. You still chose to believe I was a thief rather than question your perfect brother. I didn't know. You didn't want to know, I corrected. Because it was easier to blame me. The single mother. The one who already struggled. The acceptable scapegoat. Dad's voice was soft, broken. Jennifer, is that true? Jennifer's mouth opened and closed. No words came out. I turned to Marcus. And you. You watched me beg family members for loans. You watched me pick up extra shifts. You watched Daniel outgrow his shoes while I wore the same 3 outfits on rotation. I felt something crack inside my chest. Not rage anymore, but grief. You watched me disappear, piece by piece, and you said nothing. I'm sorry, Marcus whispered. God, Tracy, I'm so sorry. Sorry doesn't give me back 3 years. Daniel's small voice cut through the tension. Mommy. I turned to my son. His eyes were wet, confused, scared. Why is everyone yelling? And there it was. The moment I questioned everything. I'd brought my 8-year-old son to watch his uncle get arrested. I'd orchestrated this entire confrontation, this public execution of my brother, and my child was witnessing it all. Was I protecting him? Or was I teaching him that revenge was justice? Had I become exactly what I hated, someone willing to destroy family for my own satisfaction? The doubt must have shown on my face because Marcus saw it. Tracy, please. We can fix this. I'll confess everything to Dad's lawyers. I'll set up a payment plan. Please don't do this. Think about what this will do to your son, seeing his uncle arrested. Don't. Dad's voice cut through. Don't you dare use that boy as a shield after what you've done. The restaurant door opened. Detective Sarah Chun walked in, flanked by a uniformed officer. She caught my eye. Nodded once. I looked at Daniel, then at Marcus, then at the badge gleaming under the chandelier light. And I nodded back. Sarah approached the table with the calm authority of someone who'd done this 100 times. The uniformed officer stayed by the door, hand resting casually near his belt. Evening, folks, Sarah said. I'm Detective Chun. I'm looking for Marcus Barlow. Marcus stood on shaking legs. I'm Marcus Barlow. Sarah pulled out a small notebook. Mr. Barlow, I need to ask you some questions regarding wire transfers totaling $300,000 from Barlow Industries between March and June of 2022. Are you willing to speak with me? He needs a lawyer, Amanda said, her voice shrill. That's his right, Sarah agreed. Mr. Barlow, you're not under arrest yet. But I'd like you to come down to the station to provide a statement. I'll go, Marcus said quietly. I'll tell you everything. Marcus, shut up. Amanda grabbed his arm. Don't say another word without an attorney. But something in Marcus had broken. He looked at me with eyes that were already grieving everything he was about to lose. It's over, Amanda. It's been over for 3 years. I've just been too much of a coward to admit it. He turned to Dad. I stole the money. I gambled it away trying to cover a bad investment. I used Tracy's login and let her take the blame because I was scared and weak and selfish. His voice cracked. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Dad said nothing. His silence was more devastating than any words could have been. Marcus looked at his children, Tyler, who was staring at his phone like it might offer escape, and his younger daughter Emma, who'd started crying quietly. I'm sorry you have to see this, he whispered. Then he turned to Daniel, my son, who was pressed against my side, small and scared and trying to understand why the adults were breaking apart. Danny, Marcus said, his voice barely holding together. Your mom is the bravest person I know. You remember that, okay? When you grow up you be like her. Not like me. Daniel nodded, not understanding but feeling the weight of it anyway. Sarah gestured toward the door. Mr. Barlow, if you'll come with me. Marcus walked toward her then stopped. Turn back to me one last time. Was it worth it? He asked. Not angry. Just exhausted. Destroying me. Was it worth it? I looked at my brother, really looked at him. At the man who'd carried me on his shoulders, who'd taught me to throw a baseball, who'd held my hand at Mom's funeral. The man who'd also stolen from me, let me burn, watched me suffer, and said nothing for 3 years. You destroyed yourself, I said quietly. I just stopped protecting you from the consequences. Something flickered in his eyes. Maybe understanding. Maybe hatred. Maybe both. I hope you can live with this, he said. I hope you can live with what you did, I replied. Sarah placed a hand on his elbow, guiding him toward the door. The uniformed officer followed. The entire restaurant, diners at other tables who'd been pretending not to notice, watched in silence as Marcus Barlow walked out. Amanda gathered her children and left without a word, without looking back. Jennifer sat frozen, mascara streaking her face. Dad stared at his hands, and I held my son, feeling his small heart beating against my ribs, wondering if I protected him or traumatized him. If justice and revenge were really different things. If truth was supposed to feel this hollow. The door closed behind them. It was done. 3 weeks later, Daniel and I sat in a diner on the edge of town, the kind with cracked vinyl booths and waitresses who called you Han, and remembered your order. What do you want, baby? I asked, sliding the laminated menu toward him. He studied it with the seriousness of a judge reviewing evidence. Can I get the pancakes? With bacon? And eggs? And orange juice? You can get whatever you want. His eyes lit up. Really? Really? When the waitress came, he ordered. With a confidence I hadn't seen in years. No hesitation. No apologizing for wanting things. Just a boy ordering breakfast like it was the most normal thing in the world. While we waited, he colored on the paper placemat with crayons the waitress had brought. He was quiet for a long time then. Is Uncle Marcus in jail? I'd been dreading this question. Not jail. But he's in trouble. He has to go to court and answer for what he did. Because he stole Grandpa's money? Yes. And he let you get blamed? Yes. Daniel nodded slowly, processing. Aunt Jennifer was mean to me. I know, baby. Is she in trouble too? Not legally. But Grandpa isn't speaking to her right now. He considered this while scribbling a blue dinosaur. Are we still a family? The question hit me harder than I expected. Some of us are. Grandpa and us were still family. The rest. I searched for words that wouldn't poison him with my own bitterness. The rest are taking a break from each other. Do you feel bad? About Uncle Marcus? God, the questions children ask. Sometimes, I admitted. He's still my brother. I didn't want to hurt him, but I couldn't keep protecting him when it meant hurting us. Okay, Daniel said simply and went back to coloring. The food arrived: golden pancakes stacked high, crispy bacon, eggs cooked perfectly. Daniel dove in like he'd been starving. Maybe in some way he had been. Not for food, but for the simple dignity of being served without shame. My phone buzzed. A text from Dad. Wire transfer complete. $300,000 plus 3 years interest. I'm also setting up a college fund for Daniel. It's the least I can do. I love you, sweetheart. I stared at the numbers in my bank account. Money I'd never stolen, now returned. It didn't erase the trauma, the 3 years of exile, the damage done. But it was acknowledgement. It was proof. Mommy, why are you crying? I wiped my eyes quickly. Happy tears, baby. Just happy tears. After breakfast, we walked to the car. Daniel grabbed my hand and swung it between us, humming something off-key. The same way he'd hummed 3 years ago when everything started falling apart. But he wasn't the same boy. And I wasn't the same woman. Before getting in the car, I pulled out my phone and opened photos. Scrolled to the old family picture from 4 years ago. All of us together, smiling, whole. Marcus had his arm around me. Jennifer was laughing at something. Dad stood in the center like an anchor. I stared at it for a long moment. Then I deleted it. Not out of hatred. Not even out of anger. But because that family didn't exist anymore. Maybe it never had. Maybe it had been a photograph of a lie. A pretty fiction we'd all agreed to believe until the truth became impossible to ignore. I looked at Daniel, who was already buckled in his seat, waiting for me. This was my family now. Me and him. And Dad trying to rebuild what he'd broken. It was smaller. But it was real. I got in the car and started the engine. Where are we going? Daniel asked. I thought about it. Wherever we want. He grinned. Can we get ice cream? We didn't order for your son, Jennifer had said, handing him bread. But now? Now I was the one placing the orders. Yes, baby, I said, pulling out of the parking lot. We can get whatever you want. Thank you for watching my story to the end. Please subscribe to my channel so you'll always enjoy my story.